What's up, Chart Fanatics team? How you guys doing? What's up? What's up? Good morning. Happy Friday. How you guys doing? Let me know in the chat if you guys can hear me and see me. Let's get it. What's going on, guys? Good morning. Good morning. Night drop. Good morning. The Psycho. Good morning. Sharky. Time to lock in. I like it. What's up? Sharky, Daggerrock. There's so many screen names. I wish we could all just see each other's real names. It's funny, guys. How you guys doing? How's everybody's week been? You guys surviving this week? Where's the Santa rally? Santa rally has been canceled. Sorry. I don't know. It still could happen. We got a few days, guys. What do you guys think the odds are we go and rally into Christmas now? It's a possibility. And from Kenya, what's up? I trade ES. He asked what instrument. I primarily trade ES, sometimes a bit NQ. We are starting to shift this downside. I mean, basically since last Friday, aggressive sellers have pretty much been relentless. Relentless. Buyers have just disappeared at the highs. Plans for today. I'll go through it. We'll touch on the game plan here. I did share it. If you guys aren't already in the Chart Fanatics Discord, I recommend being in there. It's a free resource, great resource. Under the Matt Owen channel under CF Live, I shared my game plan in a quick screenshot of my 30-minute volume profile chart. Welcome from Poland. Yeah, if you guys got any questions, let me know. Drop them in the chat. I'll get to them throughout the stream. If I do miss your question, just shoot me a DM on Instagram. I'm very responsive to getting back to people on there. The best way to get a hold of me is just in DMs on there. So I try to take time every week to answer everyone's questions and help people out with their trading. So again, send me a DM if I miss your question in the chat. So bulls are really doing their job defending here. We'll get into the analysis, but a quick thanks to our sponsors. Funded Next was just up. If you guys do use any of these resources, prop firms, Market Journal, TradeZella, all really good trading resources, and the best discount codes are here. So highly recommend checking them out. Again, those will continue to stay on the screen here throughout. So if you guys miss it, check out the discount codes here. But we'll get into the analysis for the day. Quick check. Yeah, NQ is looking bullish. NQ has been relatively stronger than ES. It dipped relatively lower, just like zooming way out, looking at the weekly charts, it dipped relatively lower on this past week's dip, but it's also recovered faster and is holding up a little higher. Just looking at like the weekly range, NQ has been staying up a little bit more. Take a look around here. But ES is kind of going for it again here. This is kind of the first time in over a week we've seen kind of a major, not a major, but a bit of a shift towards the bulls. How much it takes to learn order flow. Everyone's different, right? Everyone's different. I generally say, you guys should get into trading and approach it with a long-term mindset, not a get-rich-quick scheme. Think in terms of months and years, not days and weeks. Yeah, so this is Bookmap. I do talk about it. This is my preferred order flow analysis tool. There's no time frame on this. You can see the time intervals down here on the bottom. I zoom in and out, and that gives me kind of a different view. It kind of groups more orders together the more I zoom out. but the green bubbles are obviously aggressive buyers and the red bubbles are aggressive sellers. We're starting to see buyers really step in here. I've been watching this 68.40 to 50 range. It was a key range for me yesterday. I got longs below it, targeting up through it, caught about 16 points on ES yesterday, from like 68.29s up into whatever it was, where I scaled out about 16 points, 40s. I have not used deep charts yet, but I'm interested. It looks like a great tool. Good question. Somebody asked if I've used deep charts yet. So let me briefly touch on the analysis. We got about 9 minutes here. If you want to read like my kind of thoughts, overall analysis, I put them in the Chart Fanatics Discord under my channel there. I like to go through, you know, I'm a very short-term order flow trader, but I still like to go through pretty much all the time frames every morning, just taking a look at the different context and analysis of where the market's at overall. And then I get narrower and narrower down into the analysis for the actual setups that I'm watching for. Now, I won't go through all of that again, but if you'd like to read my thoughts, it's down there. I've been watching, you know, this area, you know, this was already a key area for me, this 40 to 50 area, based on some previous action, even, you know, going back before, but we dropped under it, consolidated a lot. There was really not a ton of aggressive strong continuation from sellers on this day, and we recovered pretty fast. And now we've kind of built a ton of volume in this range here. So generally, when I'm looking at this type of volume buildup, it's, you know, indicating a balanced market. When we have a large bell curve like this, especially kind of going to second day here now, you can see that forming again in this range. However, what I am noting is we took out, you know, on this drop, we took out weekly lows. For like 3 weeks now, we've been in like basically a large range. If I look at my weekly chart on ES, we basically were in a large range for the 2 prior weeks. We dipped under that. There was a key level that I was watching around 67.85. We just barely got under that and quickly recaptured back above it. So that to me is, in the near term, kind of a bullish indication that we dipped under those weekly lows. We dipped under that key level and then recaptured above it. And then the other thing that I'm watching is just how on this drop over the last week, look at the volume, how every day we've kind of built volume at the lows. Pops did not have a significant amount of volume, even here, right? Look at that. And the volume just continued to be built at the lows. Now, yesterday, it wasn't super strong, right? Bulls had a really hard time sustaining the highs. We continue to see bulls kind of be weak at the highs, right? But they did manage to hold above this news demand yesterday, right? Where we formed that new demand off news, and they kind of sustained the volume at the high. So look, you know, we formed a balance range all afternoon yesterday after that morning rally. However, bulls did at least do a good job of maintaining the volume at the highs and not letting sellers break back down under that news. So that is a key piece of information. And we tested that again, like 1, 2, 3 times overnight here. So, you know, I don't want to be too preemptive here because we're still in this balance range, but the couple things that I'm watching out for is if we break under these like 68.20s strongly and retests fail, then I'll probably be looking for shorts, just targeting like 6,800 into these prior day lows if we get a strong continuation that way. On the flip side, we have these prior highs here, multiple prior highs. This 68.50 has been kind of a key spot. We got a little bit above it yesterday, but didn't sustain much volume. And then we have this kind of low volume area here. Call that a low volume node. Not a super clean one, but it is what it is. That's a key area. So if we get strong back above this, you know, 68.50 to 60-ish area and hold, then I'll possibly be watching for a breakout, at least just targeting these highs around 68.70s, these highs around 68.80s. If neither of those things work and we see a continued just lack of participation in the auction above or below, then I'll just first be looking for mean reversions. So that's kind of the structure that I'm watching here this morning. Drop this in the chat if anybody wants to review. So a lot of, this just happened while I was on that screenshot, but a lot of aggressive buying back into those highs up towards 50 hit here. And a passive seller was just sitting there unloading to them again. So whenever I see this, you can see it on the heat map here. The market's opening in 4 minutes too. You can see it on the heat map here. See this dark red spot? That's a larger passive seller sitting there, an offer, right? So these spots above price are passive sellers. It's an offer to sell. And these spots below price are a bid to buy, right? So a passive buyer. Now, they don't always necessarily fill. We have to watch them. We may see this on the heat map and they may pull that order and not actually fill. You can see this really large delta here, 3,800 lots. That was from that news rally over here. This morning we had PCE news, and we do have more news coming out at 10 a.m. The Michigan consumer sentiment can spark a little volatility there as well. But this was a pretty nice rally after we defended 1, 2, 3 times, 4 times off this news rally. And we came all the way up this passive seller here. So look at all this aggressive buying. Could not get over this passive seller here. And this is the case, he did not pull this order. You can see it here, filling. And once that passive seller absorbed everybody that was buying, there was no buyers left and price easily just completely fell back through. So very interesting. If we just stay in the middle of this high volume range that we've built here between 68.50 to 68.20 on ES, then I'm not so keen on doing much. This is a pretty interesting spike in buying here, 2 minutes before the open. Yeah, it's a Friday. We've had a pretty up and down 2 days in this range now. So if we stay here in the middle of this consolidation range where all this volume is built up and we chop around, it's not looking like a high probability or high risk versus reward opportunity for me. It's probably just a sit out opportunity. Yeah, so somebody asked, so we are looking at order flow. Yeah, this is basically visualization of the time and sales. Also like the level 2 on the heat map. The only thing I really have up is VWAP here. But I don't really use any indicators. You will see these numbers pop up. This is the absorption indicator on Bookmap. Again, I don't trade off of it. It just kind of brings my attention to some large orders that hit, large absorption. If I miss it, obviously I don't need the indicator to tell me there was a 3,400 lot positive delta that hit here. But again, this is something that's a little different now. Seeing this aggressive buying coming into these highs here. We haven't seen this really all week. All week, buyers have kind of evaporated at the highs, and sellers haven't had an easy time whacking them back down. So we'll see. We're coming right into that 50 zone now. So I'm watching this. It's, if we do this setup that I was looking for, kind of a breakout and retest above 68.50. If we do it here right on the open, it's kind of difficult for me to trade it. I don't really like to enter trades in like the first couple minutes after the 9:30 open. It's just tough to have any kind of high probability edge there, because there's just so much surge in volume and volatility at that moment. In those first couple minutes, it's not a strong edge. Yeah, guys, helps out the channel a ton if you smash the like button, if you enjoy this immense amount of free education from Chart Fanatics. It's free to do. You just smash the like button. Wow, this thing is ripping. We'll see. We're coming into that 60 now. It's a tough one. Man. See if we need any pullbacks here, but this is one of those tough scenarios where you have the game plan for the setup and it just absolutely rips like in the first like minute off the open. It's tough. It's tough to catch it. I do not, somebody asked what pairs I'm looking at. I don't trade Forex. I only trade futures and options, primarily ES and NQ, SPY and QQQ, the NASDAQ and the S&P 500. What am I drinking? I have a nice little Christmas cup here. Iced latte. Iced lattes for me all day. Second one, guys. This is the second one for me this morning. So I'm going on 4 shots of espresso here. I have a sick 3-year-old and I've been up all night for the last 3 or 4 days. So been up pretty much every 30 minutes all night. But it's all good. Crushing 4 shots of espresso and we're going to power through it. Next try, I'm going to be a millionaire. Guys, don't try to make your trading career in one trade ever, right? Don't try to flip accounts and, make a gajillion dollars. I'm telling you guys, like 99.99999% of people will just take their accounts to zero. Leverage works against you really fast. So when you start over leveraging an account, like it could be a very powerful tool if you're very, very consistent and a very, very good trader. However, leverage weighs against you really fast. Like I think if you have a 50% drawdown, you're going to have to make 100% just to make that back. So, if you start over leveraging, over trading accounts, trying to do too much too fast, you're making a very difficult game, which is trading, almost impossible, even for good traders. How do you get Bookmap to look like mine? I'm going to be making it. I've been telling people this for a long time, and I'm sorry, I suck. I'm going to make a YouTube video going over my Bookmap settings if you're a Bookmap user. But this is the DOM Pro. You can see how I have it configured over here. This is ES chart and Q. Sometimes I will switch over to the TM Lite add-on, which removes some of the annoying bracket orders that pop up around contract changes. But I'm doing without that right now. Because that hasn't been an issue right now. Take a look at NQ. NQ's taken off. NQ has pretty much stayed relatively stronger. Here, if just looking at like the lows that formed. This thing's just ripping. See if we get any kind of a pullback. Up into the 60s now. Yeah, if we get some kind of a pullback, ideally at least to around like 50 to 55, I'd be interested. Oh, here's my settings, I guess, if you want to take a look. VWAP, DOM Pro. You guys can screenshot it, I guess, if you want. The only thing that I really changed here is the reset options to reset at the open. Trader map light settings. Absorption indicator settings. I adjust this standard deviation multiplier depending on how high volume and volatility are. Multi-book. I don't really use that too much, but it's there. As far as adjusting the view, you can see my volume dot size where I have that position just slightly over halfway. And then my contrast, I put this all the way over here because I don't like all this noise on the screen, right? I only want to see kind of like significant orders. So I drag that all the way over so it really just highlights the dark yellow and red lines. That's all I really care about. Taking a look at charts here. Good questions. Good questions, guys. Let's see what else I have. Understand you're saying, but understand nothing. What's on charts? Yeah, Merry Christmas. Happy holidays coming up. Somebody said, hi, Mark. I'm Matt, but that's all good. How does contract rollover affect your strategy? Not too much. Not much at all. I continue to do kind of the same things. I just transitioned over to the new contract at the start of this week. Usually I look at volume and open interest. Here's a little pullback now back into the 50s. We'll see what happens here. If we get some really strong defense, you can see this area of lower volume right here where price really swept higher aggressively. Some bids sitting here, especially around 55 here. So we'll see if this turns into a strong trending breakout this morning. Probably want to see this defended and see buyers maintain this energy. I don't want to see buyers lose energy on this break of the highs. That's what we've been seeing all week, and sellers just whack them back down. Really want to see really strong aggressive buyers maintain this energy above these highs, above these 50s, 68 50s. That would be something different. If we don't and we drop right back into this high volume range, then some large selling into that bid right there, and he held it. Let's see what happens here. Looking for a little pullback into this area here. Looking for a little pullback in here. If I see it defend again, I'll probably take it long. See that bid? I was actually right at those 55s. I was not fast enough to catch it right there. I could have just bought, but I wanted to wait and see aggressive buyers really prove themselves, because the problem this week is we've seen things like this, but aggressive buyers just fizzle out and they don't continue. So I'm really wanting to see buyers prove themselves here at these highs. And if they prove themselves and defend pullbacks, then I'll go with them. But for the entry models that I like, this is what I like to see. A large bid defended these 55s right in that area of low volume. Really aggressive buying swept the tape higher here. So this is something I'm watching if we get a little pullback into here. If it just shoots to the moon here, then unfortunately, you know, not in it. Come on, baby, come back. Somebody said, what strategy do you use? I analyze the markets based on supply and demand. Very basic stuff, very basic technical analysis. And obviously there's a strong bit of discretion there just based on experience. And then I analyze the real-time order flow and the market auction to, you know, look for entries on my setups. Account size. I trade a personal account, not prop firm accounts. So I don't have like a set size. It kind of varies a little bit month to month. I generally recommend risking like 1 to 2% per trade. If you're a very good, very consistent trader, maybe you can think about like 2 to 5% per risk per trade. That's pretty aggressive. See some bids popping back up in here, possibly looking to defend this area again. More aggressive buying coming in. Definitely seeing more aggressive buying coming into the highs yesterday and today than we've seen the whole past week. So when volume is really shifting and building towards the highs, and we continue to see aggressive buying at the highs despite pulling back multiple times, that's a good sign that the auction is agreeing at prices at the highs, and we're gonna, drive price higher. I thought it would happen yesterday, but we kind of pulled back, but it looks like it's going for it today. For this entry model, I was looking for this to come back right here. We saw this large absorption hit, a bid defended. I was looking for this to hit right around 55s where we had that area of low volume. We hit it, swept up. I was, maybe these were the pullbacks to get in at 59. I was looking for just a little bit more pullback where these bids are here around 58, 57. Didn't get it. Upside targets would kind of be a breakout of these highs. Yesterday's highs, 68.70s into 68.80s. Nothing super crazy, just 10, 20 points targeting prior day highs. There it goes. Whoa. Yeah, we're looking at ES futures here. This is the real-time order flow visualized on Bookmap of ES futures. And no, yeah, correct. I do not trade Forex. Oh boy, here it goes. There's no specific time frame on this, guys. It's just the real-time order flow as it comes in the market. Anybody catch that? I mean, I called that dip there. I personally was looking for one more pullback here. Didn't catch it, but I was looking for that pullback right into those 55s. Sure as heck held it. Ripping. Amazing. Out with 150 points. Did you catch that on NQ, I assume? I'm not looking at NQ. Yeah, I can zoom in and out here, and the more I zoom out, the more it like bulks orders together. You can see this is like 15-minute spacing. This is what you want to see for a nice breakout though. Like, look at the size of the volume from buyers on this break. Really nice. Oh my goodness. Very nice. Somebody caught it 3.5R. Look at that. So isn't that amazing how we spotted exactly where this pullback would likely hold on this break based on looking at the volume here, based on looking at specifically where buyers were very aggressive, and that's exactly where they defended it. Santa is back. Coming up towards those 80s. First target on that setup has already hit, which was just the break of prior day highs over 70s. Now eyeballing 68, 80s to 90s. What is ES? Yeah, ES is the futures contract on the S&P 500. Yeah, so I didn't take it on this first pullback. Joe said in the chat, didn't like the relatively aggressive selling. Yeah, I didn't take it on this pullback, even though I saw it get absorbed. Again, like I said, I was waiting for buyers to really prove themselves. So we saw the absorption of these sellers. And then this to me was where buyers proved themselves right here. This sweep of really aggressive buying, that's when I was like, okay, if we get a pullback into this box here, I'm going long. Unfortunately, we just came a couple points off. We pulled back to the 59s, and this would have been the long. And look where that held, right where that big buyer was. Look at that. No coincidence. I was looking for just where these bids are in this box, a pullback into there. And unfortunately, this time did not get it. But what a rip off that. The setup worked. Just the entry model that I was waiting for was just a pullback to these bids here. And unfortunately, it went without me. So it's all good. Buyers are ripping this thing. Don't see much in the way of 68.80s. What's interesting, so the futures are really leading. Looking at SPY, SPY is still not over prior day highs. SPY is still trading the 679s. So SPY is kind of lagging here. Futures are really leading. Went long above 68.62. Stop low. Nice, Jay. Very nice. Yeah, I like how we're, kind of breaking prior day highs here, but I'd like to see SPY make this move too. SPY is still, a full dollar under prior day highs here. Yeah, what a nice catch here. Break and retest. This is what, this is essentially, guys, this is what a break and retest looks like on order flow. We are able to see it so precisely of the location where is like where buyers were really aggressive and swept this price on this breakout. And then we retested into there and we saw, here on the heat map, this passive buyer defend it. That was a really nice break and retest of, above this kind of 68.50 key level that I was watching. Now, for me, I wasn't looking to just buy it on the dip there. I wanted to see the aggressive buying and a slight retest into it. And this one, it just shot to the moon without coming back. Targets hit. Now is a big question from buyers here if they can sustain price over prior day highs. Because so far over the last week, pops have really been sold into. And this is the first like major shift in structure. How do I use the volume profile? I did a pretty in-depth video here on Chart Fanatics a couple weeks ago where I went over all of that. I'll touch on it here again, but let me find that video really quick and I'll share it in the chat. Aggressive buying still kind of coming in here. Yeah, let me find that video. I did a pretty in-depth kind of strategy breakdown. There it is. Aggressive buying still coming in here at the highs. Again, this is definitely a change because over the past, basically since last Friday, every time we hit highs for any amount of time, it's like all the aggressive buying just evaporated. Yeah, of course, D-Boss. Welcome. But to answer your question, I use volume profiles a lot in my analysis in addition to like supply and demand and just understanding the overall market structure as far as, you know, where is volume built and where is it not. That indicates acceptance of price moves or lack thereof. You know, for example, like we saw on the break of these highs, and especially this pullback here, look at all this super large buying that came in. On the contrary, if we would have popped here again and seen just like really small buying, it would have been a lot less probability that we were going to hold this breakout and retest. So that's how I use, you know, volume real time on a setup. And then as far as volume profiles, let me take a screenshot here of my thing. I already went through it in the pre-market if you missed it, but I was saying the reason I was looking specifically for this setup, exactly what I was looking for, was because of how we had this consolidation here yesterday. And during this downtrend, pretty much every move we built volume at the lows, And then yesterday, you know, bulls were pretty much able, you know, they weren't super strong at the highs. They got rejected a few times. However, they held above this demand area that formed on the news yesterday and built volume at the highs of the day, the upper half of the day. That was kind of a shift in structure that we had not seen in over a week. So the fact that they were able to hold that, to me, was an early indication that we could have a breakout of that, right? You see that, and this also, again, that 50 level. Why was I looking at that? Look at the top of where all that volume was built yesterday. Ding. Makes sense. Now, another thing that I look at on the volume profiles is just understanding when a price move occurs, if there is acceptance. So like when I see a wavier volume pattern on a breakout, see this? It is indicating in volume, like buyers and sellers are agreeing on price and then rallying higher, agreeing on price, rallying higher. We can see that on a simple candle structure where we like rally, base, but depending on what time frame you're looking at, it's not always so key, right? I like to see, like if we're rallying and basing, I like to see actual volume built at those bases, and then rallies and volume built, you know, indicating that there's a lot of acceptance of those higher prices. So simple volume profiles like this adds a lot of confluence to understanding the overall auction and understanding, you know, supply and demand. And then in the same way, understanding the actual order flow as it comes in. We see like large aggressive buying on the breaks on the breakout that's not simply absorbed and rejected, indicates acceptance and, you know, buyers kind of taking control of the auction, which we have. This is an anomaly. This is something different than what we've seen for the past week. The Don Trade said, I'm not understanding anything, brother. It maybe sounds a little complicated. I'm telling you, like, the more you start to just really understand the market as what it is, just an auction, and strip away indicators and all kinds of nonsense, technical analysis mumbo jumbo, and you just understand it for what it is. It's just an auction. It's a bloody game of tug of war between buyers and sellers. It actually becomes a lot simpler than it sounds. If you go back and watch that link that I shared here, let me. I did a pretty, you know, I would say good overview for beginners. There's the link again. I don't know if I can't pin it or anything, but there's the link again on the Chart Fanatics channel. That was a live stream I did a couple weeks ago. I did like a full kind of educational session for order flow trading and supply and demand and volume profiles and all that kind of stuff. So that'd be a good one to check out. So we are just watching this thing. Pause. Somebody said, are we going to sell off from here? And it just caught me off guard. Hang on. It's possible. Anything's possible, right? We could sweep over prior highs and reject. But given the overall structure going on here, how the market shifted from the downside to the upside after taking out, you know, prior major swing lows, prior weekly lows, that context plus the context that we had a news event, back-to-back news events that accelerated this move. Again, I'm not saying it won't work or it can't work, because we could easily, you know, sweep over a high, new information come out, and massive sellers could come in and just totally reject this thing back down. But right now, that's not looking like good probability, and I would not be looking to go against this momentum. Bro caught me off. We're seeing all this massive buying. I'm talking about how strong buyers are, and bro hit me with, are we going short? It was like, wait, hold up, what? Pause. So we're hitting into the 80s now. SPY pulled back a little bit, and it's moving up there as well. But we're still under prior day highs on SPY. We just broke out 80s on SPY. So if SPY really gets going here with this as well, oh baby, look at that. Woo! Squeeze. This is what a short squeeze looks like, guys. This is what a short squeeze looks like. Oh my goodness. I have absolutely no FOMO about this as far as the day trade. I am sitting in some SPY calls that I have swung. So I have no FOMO about this. SPY is still just a hair under prior day highs. Prior day high is at 680.74. But so far, you know, the volume and aggression from buyers is different than what we've seen this whole week. Again, we could reject, it's possible, especially because SPY has really not gotten strong acceptance over prior day highs. Futures are leading much higher. Oh, I forgot to mention, guys, we do have giveaways coming up today. As always, we do have giveaways coming up. Let me check. Just confirming. We have Apex account, Funded Next account, Alpha Capital accounts. So we will do that a little bit later here in the stream. But this is a great example of seeing, you know, we could hit a supply zone up here. We could, you know, fail to break over prior day highs and reject. Anything's possible. But in the near term, like our targets that I mentioned this morning was just 68.70s and 68.80s prior highs. Okay. But that analysis that I shared in this morning that showed, you know, likely leaning towards momentum to the upside, especially confirmed when we held this pullback here and look at the large aggressive buying that came in. That was the strongest confirmation that we were really going for the breakout. So to put this in perspective, right? If on this pullback here, we saw this large selling, and then on this pop, we would have seen small buying, like see these bubbles over here on this first break of the highs. If we would have seen that here, it would have been a lot less likely we were going to go do this, right? But seeing one, buyers absorb these sellers that came in, and two, show real intent to break out with this large aggressive buying, that was the cherry on top for a really nice quality break and retest breakout setup. Again, unfortunately for me, at least in terms of the day trade here, I did not capitalize because I was looking for just a little bit deeper pullback into these bids here in this zone. But what a nice one. Hypothetically, if I did take it here on these pullbacks at 59, I would have probably had a stop here under 55.50. So it would have been about a 4.5 point stop targeting, you know, 70. So it would have been about 70 to 80. Obviously the second target hit, but the first target would have just been a break above 70s. So I guess, you know, sitting back and armchair quarterbacking it in hindsight, it still would have been about a 4-point risk for 12 point reward. So it still would have been a 3, potentially 4R scalp there. I was just looking for it to be a little tighter. I was just looking for a little bit more pullback into that zone where those bids were. But continuing to see a lot of aggressive buying up here, which is a great sign. But again, it is a little worrisome not worrisome, but you'd really like to see SPY make this move too. SPY is still under prior day highs. I do not trade Forex, only futures and options. Let's see, did I miss any questions in the chat? Let me know, guys. Yesterday it was frozen at the time of giveaway. Sorry about that. I was not on that, but looks like there was a technical difficulty there. Not intentional at all. Yeah, nice strong reversal here. The Dawn trades. Yeah, I'm on Twitter, X, YouTube, Instagram. All of them is just at Matt Owen Trades. I am most active probably on Instagram. But yeah, I'm on X and YouTube. This coming year, I have a lot of YouTube content planned. So. Little bit of exhaustion here from buyers, kind of dwindling off here at these highs. A little bit of exhaustion here. Last trading day of this year for me will likely be Tuesday. And I will be out the next 2 weeks. So you guys, I will be back on Chart Fanatics for the next stream will be January 9th. It's definitely normal to see some pullbacks, but ideally I would like to see, you know, for continuation today, for it to be a real strong uptrending day, I'd like to see SPY get over prior day highs. There's a solid low volume area here right at prior day highs on ES. So this would be a solid area to watch here if we get a nice pullback. Let me see. So this area here, see how we broke that out with really aggressive buying. And that is like 72s to 65s-ish. 72s to 65-ish. Would definitely kind of, and that was on the break of prior day highs. So I would definitely want to see buyers really hold that. For kind of a really strong continuation day to the upside. Are you old, Matt? What? Am I old? I don't know. It's an odd question. How old am I? 31. I've been trading since 2016. Bros, are you old? That's funny, dude. 31. I'm 31, guys. I feel a lot older than that, though. I feel like the Marine Corps aged me. The Marine, well, shoot. I don't know what aged me more, the Marine Corps or day trading. Both, dude. Holy crap. Two things that will age you faster than anything. This chat is wild today, guys. So on looking at Bookmap, here is that zone. So just that day volume profile, we were looking at that area. It was like, what did I say? Like 65 to 72-ish. So basically like here, where these really aggressive buyers were. Right there. How about them kids? Hey, do you guys want my address, social security? What else do you guys want to know? Took how many years to become profitable? A couple years. A lot sooner with swing trading. I started out. The shorter you shrink the time horizon of your trading, the higher the degree of difficulty, in my opinion. Blood type, height, weight, eye color. Where's my driver's license? You guys need that too? Oh man, chat's wild today. So we're just kind of hanging out at the highs up here. A little bit of exhaustion from buyers up here. Probably due for a little bit of a pullback. Passport too? Okay. No. Do you drive a Lambo? No. I just got a new Raptor though last week, Ford Raptor. Do I look at gold? Just my gold necklaces. I don't trade gold. Full port shorts here. Hey, anything's possible, man. This could be a fail. You know, this could turn into a failed break of the highs, right? Sellers have been in control over the past week. So, you know, we could see a failed break of the highs, especially if sellers are able to recapture back below some of these levels here. I wouldn't really probably be looking for that here, but it could definitely happen. Never rule out anything. And trading for 5 years and just starting to lean into being profitable. Awesome. Do I copy trade futures? No. I mean, I don't copy anyone else's trades. I could take my own trades. I really don't look at anyone else's trading at all other than just my own. I may review what other people do after, but definitely do not recommend copying anyone's trades. It's best to use live streams and things like that as tools to learn for yourself. Learning live with someone, I think, is invaluable, but I don't recommend just trying to copy someone else's trades. Copy trades is for funded accounts. I trade personal account. I trade personal capital. Good questions though, guys. Good questions. Do I see candles? Yeah, I have. So on my screens, on the right-hand side, I have Thinkorswim candle charts that I look at, just overall price action market structure. Right now, I'm literally just looking at a 4-hour chart and 4-hour charts. And I have a 15-minute chart on SPY. 4-hour charts on NQ, ES, VX, and SPY. And then in the center of my screen, I have Tradeovate and Sierra chart, and I look at 30-minute charts with volume profiles, sometimes 15-minute charts with volume profiles, and then also footprint charts, which are on ES a 5-point range bars, and on NQ 10-point range bars. If volatility is very high, I will sometimes make that a little bit larger. And then on the left-hand side of my screen, what I stream here, my preferred like order flow analysis tool is Bookmap and the DOM here, the DOM Pro depth of market. This is kind of the same information that I'm looking at on my footprint chart. It's just cumulative on the day, not 5-point range bars. mainly being the session volume profile, the volume profile delta, and just, volume profile sell and buy here. Still seeing some aggressive buying coming into these highs. So buyers are not done yet. Yeah, the second week of January. I've got 6 screens up. So, but I was just talking about I have other screens for like the streaming software and Discord, things like that. If you guys want to see a video going over my whole trading setup, I posted that on YouTube. So you can check that out on my YouTube channel. People ask like almost every day, they want to see like what I use for trading. Guys, it's all just a luxury though, right? You could be a very good profitable trader with just nothing but a laptop. It's all about your skill and your ability to be very disciplined, be very consistent, manage risk, and have a very good strategy that you can repeat. The amount of screens and softwares and all this kind of things is just kind of a luxury. It is very helpful for me being an order flow trader because I have a lot of screens. I'm looking at different things, but I'm really all looking at the same thing, the S&P 500, right? I'm looking at candle charts. I'm looking at a couple different ways of viewing the order flow. So it's just all kind of redundant information. But again, I could trade just fine with one screen. I'd probably have like a 30-minute chart with the volume profile on half the screen and like a footprint chart or Bookmap on the other half of the screen, and I'd be just fine. Alrighty, so starting to get a little flat here. That's been the MO pretty often, is usually sometimes a little later than this. Usually by like 10:30, 10:45, we start to really die out of momentum. Building quite a bit of volume here intraday, just in this range between kind of like 73 and 83. Quite a bit of volume built up there. What's the video's title? Are you talking about the video on YouTube of my trading setup? I don't have that many videos on YouTube. It shouldn't be hard to find. Let me see. Here you go. It's turning into a battle here. SPY still under prior day highs. If you want to see, lots more insights from me and other pro traders and just the great community overall, I recommend checking out the Chart Fanatics Discord. It's a free resource. If you want to review like screenshots and game plans of the different stuff that I shared here today, also shared in there. Sellers, this is probably the most sellers have tried so far today up here. Kind of zoom out my footprint chart so I can look at the cumulative delta here. Yeah. Show you guys a totally zoomed out view. I usually look at it a lot more closely than this, but here's a totally zoomed out view of my footprint chart that I'm looking at on Sierra. Let me put it over here so we can see this. But I also have just a day volume profile built here on my footprint chart as well. And this is what I was talking about, is how we've just built a lot of volume in this range here. Look at all that volume built. Point of control is shifted up here. So what I'd kind of be watching here is, for buyers, you'd probably want to see them hold this little range here if we're going to have really strong upside trend today. We could have we have this consolidation. We could have an intraday little fake out dip into here, hold, and blast back into the highs. If we continue to have a really strong uptrend today. If not, and buyers give that up, you know, especially after, you know, consolidating up here this much. Buyers are looking, at least in the short term, buyers are looking a little tired. Again, that screenshots of the analysis and things that I'm talking through are going in the Chart Fanatics Discord. But you can see, you know, why I was looking at these zones. Look at this area of lower volume here. Oops. Is why I was watching this, as well as on Bookmap over here, where these really large buyers were. That's in the same location there. Full session volume profiles. Somebody asked, are your volume profiles full session or regular trading hours? Full session. What's my view on NQ? Let's take a look. Similar. It's looking similar here. Same thing. We kind of broke these prior highs. We have this area of lower volume here where buyers were pretty aggressive, but now we've built quite a lot of volume up here at these highs. Kind of be watching the same thing. If we're going to have a strong trending day, if any pullback comes, it gets held here, it breaks the highs again. You know, if we get back below here, I wouldn't love seeing us, you know, we kind of already hit my long side targets, which was just these highs here. So we kind of already hit my long side targets. And if we now fail after hitting these prior highs, then that's not ideal for buyers here. If we fail here, not ideal. Just playing the what if game. If we have a really strong uptrending day into the afternoon, probably want to see this hold. If we kind of have a failed break of prior highs scenario and we probably just spend the rest of the day chopping inside the past 2 days range, then that might happen if sellers are able to get back below this range. There are some geopolitical factors going on right now. There's kind of a little bit of stuff popping off with, what is it? I don't even know. Venezuela? The US? Check my news source. Yeah, there's kind of a little bit of stuff with headlines and stuff popping off about the US and Venezuela. Hopefully that just turns into nothing, but that could be looming over the markets if something does escalate there. I don't really know. You know, I'm not a big fundamental guy, so I don't really have any prediction to make there other than if something escalates there, then it could spark volatility in the market. Yep, NQ, ES both pulling back. It was kind of, you know, this pullback here was kind of due, just given the fact that we saw some exhaustion up here forming from buyers. Look at that. So look at this on this break of these highs, right? Look at the small bubble, smaller bubble, smaller bubble. So we saw multiple times weaker buying coming into the highs here, and SPY never broke even the prior day highs. So SPY has still not even broke prior day highs, and we saw a lot of exhaustion from buyers up here in the short term. So it's pretty key now for buyers, if they're going to continue this move today, to hold this area. Yeah, NQ just dropped a lot further and faster. Take a look at NQ here. NQ's coming up to this VWAP level here. Here's where all this large buying was on this kind of consolidation. Similarly to what we talked about on ES, would probably want to watch this area here, kind of in the middle of it right now, where we had this bit of consolidation and then break with large aggressive buying. That's going to be kind of key to hold right there. Can't find me on Twitter. It's a verified account, just Matt Owen Trades. Pull it up. I'm not super active on there. I'm most active like on Instagram. Look at that buying starting to defend off there. Where is it? Yeah, I don't think it may be in there. I don't know if it is, but X right there, Matt Owen Trades. So pretty nice defense so far in that same zone. And this zone was, we had this little consolidation period here, and this area of low volume that was created when these really aggressive buyers came in right here. Like, just zoom out. These are some of the largest aggressive buyers of the day right here, especially after kind of this little base and then that breakout there. And that also occurred above prior day highs. So no coincidence, buyers would want to defend there. Now let's see if this has legs or if buyers fail now. Also, VWAP was right in there at the same time. So multiple confluences there. What's ES doing? Kind of the same thing. So remember this same zone that I drew from earlier? Popping off there, not a coincidence. No coincidence there. But not super large buying. And if sellers are successful under here, then not ideal for buyers today. Yeah, not great. I don't know anybody that trades order flow with Forex. Maybe there's a way, but the problem is it's not traded through a centralized exchange. So you wouldn't be looking at really all the information anyway. So it kind of makes it, that would kind of make it worthless. We're back on ES now. So there's some nice buying coming off this zone again. Second time we held a higher low now. Buyers doing it now. Wouldn't want to see this buying fail now. Some larger aggressive buying we held a higher low in this key zone now. You definitely, I think this is the one that you wouldn't want to see buyers fail on. Definitely feeling like that GIF you sent yesterday, Joe. Yeah. All right, guys, let's take a look at some giveaways. Anthony, are you ready? All right, guys, let's do some account giveaways here while we watch this. Hopefully this thing goes to the moon. That is, hopefully, if nobody here is short. Went long at 71s. Nice. Yeah, that was a great catch there. Held that higher low. Sellers got absorbed in that key zone. Aggressive buying came in. Wouldn't really want to see this buying fail. Also would really want to see SPY make this break of prior day highs. All right. So in the chat, guys, only enter one time or you will not be even entered for the giveaway. So don't spam the chat with it. One time in the chat, exclamation point order flow. We're going to run some account giveaways. I do not control the outcome of these giveaways, guys. So for anyone asking, can you give me the account? I can't, because it's just going in the giveaway thing and we're going to spin to win. But if you don't win, like I said, we got 3 today, but there's more every day. So tune in. Lots of great traders coming to you guys live, giving you guys free information, free value here. So huge shout out to Chart Fanatics for putting that together and all the sponsors that made it happen. Again, check out the links in here, code CF for Apex. They're running some big sales here for the end of the year. So, you know, my advice, personal advice would be, if you do use that route, would be to take advantage of the sales, but don't necessarily, like, if conditions are not well going into the holidays and stuff, don't trade them and just blow them up in crappy conditions. I would probably snag the accounts for the discount personally if I was going that route, and then just wait for better conditions to actually trade them. That would be my own 2 cents. All right, we're going to close it in just a minute here. Some large selling kind of hitting the highs here. Not ideal for buyers. Would really want to see them break out above these 80s, 68 80s. Remember, that was my target, guys. 68 80s was my target. That's for the longs. That's already been hit. So now it's kind of the question of, okay, that was already my high probability target. What happens next? I don't know. But if we're gonna get a strong continuation day into the afternoon, you'd really want to see buyers be strong above these 80s. All right, guys, we're gonna close the giveaway. It was exclamation point order flow in the chat. We got 3 accounts to give away. All entries are in, guys. So it is closed now. All entries are in. I'm going to get the list from Anthony, my guy. He's like the grease that makes all the gears turn behind the scenes, guys. ES is really flirting with these 80s. Aggressive buying is still coming in at the highs, which is a good sign for continuation. Again, my highest probability thing was just targeting the 80s. But if we can get these buyers to continue coming in strong here above the 80s, what do you guys think? We could go 60, 68, 90, 6,900? Guys, come on. Smash a like on the video if you want to see this thing trade to 69. All right, guys, here we go. Here we go. We've got Apex account coming in. I don't want to mispronounce this. Medink. Let me know in the chat if you're here. Losing my voice, guys. Let me know in the chat if you're here. Buyers still coming in at these highs. They're back above the 80s. Can they hold? Can they hold? If they can hold above these 80s now and SPY gets over prior day highs this time, this could just turn into an all-day squeeze. Just a short squeeze to the moon. He's here. Sweet. 300K Apex account. Now to claim this, make sure you go into the Chart Fanatics Discord, go to the giveaways tab, and follow the instructions there. Sweet. He got it. All right. On to the next one. Rivox Almarin. Let me know in the chat if you're here. Congratulations. There he is. Rivox Almarin. Awesome. Now, again, head over to the Chart Fanatics Discord. Giveaways tab is where you're going to claim this. Man, is this thing looking squeezy, guys? I don't know. Sellers are trying to hit the highs. Sellers, aggressive sellers, are trying to hit the highs. But if they're unsuccessful, they're going to have to turn into buyers as we break out the highs, which could trigger another squeeze. Aggressive sellers are trying to hit the highs, but if it's unsuccessful, guys, then they're going to get squeezed. Right? So if they're selling at the market here and unsuccessful and aggressive buyers continue to take control, their stop losses are going to be buy stops. They're going to have to continue to buy to cover and just squeeze this rally higher. The big question, if they're unsuccessful. If they are successful, then it could go the other way, right? It's on the line here, either way. If buyers don't hold this strength on this breakout, then they could be the ones trapped at the highs. All right, we got one more. Congratulations to the two winners, one more. Gabska20. Congratulations. Let me know if you're in the chat. Oh, there's some aggressive selling kind of taking control there. Some pretty aggressive selling kind of taking control there. Buyers are just flirting with this 80 level. There he is, Gabska20. Congratulations. Again, one more time. I feel like an infomercial. Go to the Chart Fanatics Discord, to the giveaways tab to claim your free accounts. I use Tradeovate and some other brokerages linked with Sierra Chart. Again, I have no affiliates. I'm not recommending anyone for anything. Do your own research on, their trustworthiness, and margins is a big one. If you trade futures, make sure margin requirements suit your needs. And again, just trading with the broker that has the lowest margins is not necessarily a good thing, guys. You should probably not be trading anywhere near like your max margin that you can. Right? I know so many people that just get stuck spinning their wheels, like blowing accounts, because like they're basically trading max margin on the accounts. Like if they have a $2,000 account and they're able to trade like 3 or 4 ES contracts, just don't do that. Highly recommend sticking with a very reasonable risk, like 1-2%, maybe slightly more if you're a very consistent trader. Yeah, aggressive selling is really defending these pops over these highs again. It was looking like they might get squeezed into those highs there, but man, they're coming in again. It's just continuing to be kind of a battle here in this range. That's why I was like, I liked the breakout trade into the 80s. That's why I had that, nice high probability target there at the 80s. But beyond that, starts to get more and more of a stretch. It could happen. We could have a nice breakout of the 80s, but really the 80s, 6880s was like the best, like high probability target. That's all the giveaways we have for today. We will have more on the next streams. Streams are still rolling next week. I don't think for the holidays, but that's all the giveaways we have. Yeah, heavy selling again. Really, after holding multiple dips into this low volume node area that we identified earlier, we've held multiple dips of heavy selling into here. We held a higher low already. Really wouldn't want to see that spend much time back in there again. If buyers are going to hold these highs to continue pushing higher today, wouldn't really want to see too much more time be spent down in here. This was probably, in my opinion, the one you would want to see buyers really go for it. And they kind of fizzled out again at the highs. So now it's kind of like 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the 5th time buyers have kind of pushed and fizzled above these 6880s, kind of fizzled out. So not ideal for buyers for continuation to the upside today. Anything's still possible though. Done for the day. Did you catch a trade, Joe? I missed it if you put it in the chat. Stayed flat. Let me know in the chat. Did you guys catch any trades today? Did you stay flat? You still waiting and watching? Let me know in the chat. Green, red, or flat? Where are you guys at? One L, one break even. more selling coming in. Not ideal for buyers. $150 points on NQ, nice. I find this a little difficult. I mean, we're seeing a lot of heavy selling now building up here. So if I zoom out here, guys, look, this is what I was talking about. See how the buying got small at the highs multiple times? That's what I was saying is like not ideal to see for buyers here. Now, like 4 or 5 times buyers have made an attempt at these highs above the 68.80s. And look how small it is. And then on the pullbacks, look how heavy the selling is coming in. Not ideal for continuation to the upside. But at the same time, we are still well above VWAP. We're still above these key levels. So it's also, I'll just say it's still quite counter trend to go short, at least in the near term. But it is obviously aligned with the weekly trend. Like we've been failing at highs and selling off all week. It was looking like we were going to shift that structure today. Yesterday into today looked like the first major attempt to change that structure where we've been failing and selling off from the highs. What if we take another long? So I don't love longing this zone again, just based on 80s was kind of already the target, those prior highs, and that's already been hit. So that was already my long side target. 2, we've seen like 4 or 5 attempts now for buyers to go break out these 68.80s target, and it's gotten weaker. And now, okay, on these first pullbacks in here, you know, great if you want to try it, but seeing us pull back here, make lower highs with weaker buying and pull back here with heavier selling multiple times now, it could still work, right? Anything's possible. I'm not saying, but to me, it's just not looking high quality or high probability at this time. Just based on the fact, looking at this, the 68.80s was the target that's already been hit. We've seen 4 or 5 pushes from buyers now with relatively weak buying. Like, remember what I said earlier, right? See how when we were breaking out highs earlier, look at the large aggressive buying that was coming in. Now, after we got above those 80s, which was that target prior highs, look how the buying just fizzled out, which is kind of what I was saying before has been happening a lot this week. Starting to look like it's happening again. So I don't personally love this long. I'm still watching this area, but I just don't love this long here, even though, you know, it could work, anything's possible, but just the overall context, buyers are starting to look exhausted up here. Sellers are looking to be stronger up here. But again, it's kind of in a spot where momentum is to the upside. I don't really love this short. And I also don't really love chasing it long anymore based on seeing kind of the buyers getting tired up here and kind of pulling back into this multiple times now with some heavy selling. So very, very much can be an opportunity to sit on your hands if you are still watching. If I saw something different, like on this pullback here, like really aggressive buying, really large buying come in, that may, you know, that may tell me something different, right? I'm open to new information as it presents itself, right? I'm just giving you my real-time thoughts. That could change. We're seeing some large buying come in right off this zone now. So like I said, that could change one way or the other. But I'm just giving you like my real-time thoughts based on what I'm seeing here. So going forward today, I talked about this, I don't know, 30 minutes ago now, how we were just building a lot of volume in this range, and we've just stayed in that range. So this is looking key. We're just above that area. So going forward today, I would watch if sellers drop this thing back under here and hold pullbacks, we could retest these large buyers from this morning open. If buyers start showing up with some major size again, we could go break out the highs. Maybe we take out the 6890s to 6900s. Maybe. It is Friday though. Next week is a Christmas week. So if volume, this could probably be maybe the most likely scenario. Volume just continues to die out and we just kind of drift and chop. Don't play this game when it's just drifting and chopping. Save yourself the mental capital and physical capital. Don't play this game when we're just drifting and chopping. That's just a little bit of advice there. Knowing when not to trade is super important. If we're just drifting and chopping, volume and volatility dying out, not at a key spot, not holding it really any key levels, going into the weekend, going into a major holiday week next week, don't hurt yourself there. Welcome in, Aiken Singh. Welcome in. All right, guys, so these are the 3 things that I'd be watching out for. Again, if you're not in the Chart Fanatics Discord, I'm dropping screenshots and things in there. That's what I'd be watching out for going forward today. The major plan today was just to see the buyer strength for the break and retest targeting the 6880s. That setup is already played. So that was my major setup watch for today. Here's some aggressive buying coming in. Now is just the question of, do buyers really want to show up the juice to really turn this into a trending day above 6880s? That's possible. It's also less probable. That's why my target was just the 80s. All right, guys, that's going to be a wrap for me here. Thank you guys for tuning into the stream today. Again, the next stream for me on Chart Fanatics, I think will be on the 9th of January. So everyone enjoy your Christmas. Happy New Year's. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you guys got a lot of value out of this stream. Again, I always try to focus on education and sharing things with you guys that can help your trading day in and day out. I think even if you're just a price action trader, if you learn some stuff about order flow, it can significantly improve your precision of your trades and also significantly improve your ability to just avoid bad trading conditions that do not work well for the setups that you're looking for. Thanks for tuning in, guys. If you have any questions, again, best way to reach me is just DMs on Instagram. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.